Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Do you remember?
Usually, it takes me about a week to write a talk and to feel it's complete, and then for the 10:30, I scramble it up so it doesn't sound the same. But after the 9 o'clock talk, there were some things said to me that were so powerful that were heard. I'm not going to do that. So those of you that were here, hang in there, might hear it a different way. But first of all, I have to talk about Sue. Ever since we started this in June, Sue has picked out the topics of our talks. And it's usually been from a book or something, and so I can get the book and see, oh, I'm doing a talk in chapter 3 and chapter 8. But this one, it was a book, but it was short poems. And, I really didn't like the title of this talk, and I thought, well, how can I change it? It's already in print. And finally, it really came to me. What I didn't like was the word aspiration. Now, aspiration to me is a lung problem. And I thought, here it is Tuesday. I haven't worked on this talk. I'm just going to Google them. I'm going to Google these words. And so here's what happened. And this is why it's fascinating to me how hard it is to learn the English language, because they have all these different meanings. Inspiration, the act of drawing air into your lungs. Artistic creativity, a divine influence on a person that makes them feel qualified to receive sacred revelations. The act of influencing, well, yeah, but here's the one that I like, the power of moving the intellect or emotions. So I thought, I'm taking that definition. So in case you're wondering, that's the definition I'm using for inspiration. Now, aspiration, the entry of secretions or foreign materials into the lungs. A lung infection caused by pulmonary aspiration. A needle biopsy. This does not relate to this talk. And then the last one is ambition. Now, I like that one. But it's an incredible variation. So if you say, I'm going to talk about aspirations, I would think half of you would leave. I mean, who wants to hear about that stuff? Then the third... The third word is dedication. Now, dedication can be a ceremony marking something official that's been complete, like a building or something, or it can be or the rite of dedicating something to the divine. Self-sacrificing devotion to a cause. Not sure about that one. Now, here's the one I like, devoting or setting aside something for a particular purpose. So if you have any questions, those are the definitions I'm using today. Because as 2012 comes to a close, I invite you to think about what has been inspiring to you during this year. Has anything in your life created an ambition for the new year? And have you got an increased dedication to your spiritual life? All these things are very important as we look into the new year. Those 3 words are what I call soul words. So when I want to understand more about the soul, I go to Thomas More, who wrote the book, Care of the Soul. And here's what he says. When the soul's neglected, it just doesn't go away. I don't know why we thought it would. It appears symptomatically as obsessions, depressions, addictions, and violence and loss of meaning. That's what happens when we're out of connection with the soul. Because with those symptoms comes some root problems, and we really have lost our wisdom about the soul. We've lost our interest in it. And yet it really is truly who we are. But when we connect with the soul, we feel better. When we connect with the soul, we see things in a better light, a more shining light. And we feel a greater ability to give love when we're connected to our true nature. Wise people say that this connection with the soul lies halfway between understanding and unconsciousness. That's a big spread. So the way we connect with our soul is by imagination. The gifts of the soul are improved relationships, improved work environment, improved productivity, improved happiness, improved love. Now, who wouldn't want that? Our ministers and practitioners are here to help you tend to your soul during difficult times. And often the holidays bring those times out in full, vivid, living color. So we invite you to be a conscious caretaker of your own soul. The soul doesn't often come problem-free, and it's not meant to. But some of our most incredible progress has been made when we have those difficult times, when we question what's going on, when we ask our soul to guide us and to lead us and to help us through. Otherwise, sometimes we get so busy we neglect what's truly ours, what's truly there. What Thomas More said is the real goal is to feel our existence. It's not to overcome struggles, it's to feel our existence. Like this morning, to feel the air, to feel the lights, to feel the people next to you, to feel the warmth of your clothes, to feel the sunshine looking out today. And last night and 5 this morning and probably 2 and 3 this morning, feel the wind, feel the rain, to experience everything that is going on in our world. Because it's so easy to ignore it. It's so easy. What the soul is calling us to do is to be in the present moment, to feel our existence. And we say that a lot around here. And I'm learning more and more about how valuable that is in this lesson of life as we go through life. Because the difficult times are important to us to freely express free will, to do what we think is right in our life. And it also helps us not feel spiritually proud. You've probably met someone like that somewhere in life. They're just real proud where they are spiritually. And really being in the present moment proves that it's all one. It's all one. So how do we care for the soul? The soul loves to be bathed in beauty. Beauty, a sunny day, a flower. Maybe a blouse you wear that day. Maybe something that sits on your kitchen table. Something that makes you smile. The soul craves beauty. And you know when you're there because you smile. You feel better about yourself. That's why I have rocks and shells all over my house. I even have them on my desk here because I need that to remember those special places I went. Now, Paul and I have an agreement. If he doesn't like something, I can't have it in the living room. It has to be in my bedroom. So my bedroom's very full. But it's full of soul stuff, you know. It's full of really, really great things. And so no matter where I am, in the house, in the bathroom, or in the office here, I have something around that makes me smile. So let's go back to those 3 soul words, the first one being inspiration, moving the intellect. What has moved you this year? I hope you think about it this holiday season. What has moved you this year? And it may be moved you from one difficult position to not so difficult position, or moved you to be better. Well, what moved me this year, and still moves me, is all our Save-A volunteers. You know, when I'm here during the week and all of a sudden I go to the restroom and the door's open and somebody already mopped the floor. Little angel just came in and did her gift, her contribution to the center. Someone comes in and puts chairs up, takes chairs down, puts tables up, takes tables down. How many souls have been in here this week dropping off shoes? Shoes for souls. Please do. Please do. We're going to continue this. Our first distribution will be December 17th by the Hope Van. So it's great. And you'll see one of our Save-A volunteers, Kathy Straight and her husband, Mike, the first batch of shoes we got, they said, we're going to take them home and spiff them up, and we're going to check the sizes. And they did, and she sent me this darling picture. It's on the glass in the hallway. They have them all lined up on their deck in pairs and took a picture. And I started crying when I got that. It was like, wow, this is Save-A. This is what we encourage everyone to do. Do what they love, but in the totality of it, it keeps this place vibrant and sparkling clean, obviously. So, moving the intellect. Many of our emotional complaints come during the holiday season. Quite often, unfortunately. Fortunately, it's all one, I have to remember that. Emptiness. I feel empty. I feel hopeless. I feel worthless. I'm depressed. I'm disillusioned. All those are indicators that the soul is not being nurtured. And one of the most important things that I share with people who feel that way is, have you been giving anyone anything, any of your time? Have you been giving anybody anything to make them smile? Because that cracks that nut. It cracks us open at a deep level. Now, inspiration came to me a lot this past few months as we've gone through the co-creation process, as we move towards inviting a new minister into our center. And a couple of meetings ago, we asked everyone to say, what are your greatest memories of happiness? What's the happiness that you've had here at the center over the past 8 years? What things do you remember that really made you happy? And here are some of them. That I can be real. I'm respected. I'm accepted. It's a place to dress up. Now, I don't know who wrote that one, but the choir. Aha moments. No judgment. Watching people emerge. Isn't that interesting? Discovering me. Sharing life and community. Camp Latias. Music. Teachings that help me work through issues. These are the greatest moments some people remember over the past few years as happiness for them. It's really inspirational. And with that comes a deep connection to the community, a real deep connection. You can feel it in these words. That we're just not here to listen and then leave. We're here to connect with people. And if you feel like no one's connecting with you, it means that you need to reach out a hand and connect to others. Make a friend. And in order to be a friend, you have to make a friend. Be friendly to other people. And that takes courage. But this is a very safe place to be. Thomas More said, care of the soul is an appreciation of the paradoxical mysteries that blend light and dark into the grandeur of what the human life and our culture can be. That's what we're invited to do. The goal is to not make a life that's problem-free. It's to give our ordinary life depth, real depth. So the second word, aspiration, that good word about ambition. So how am I feeling right now about ambition? I'm feeling pretty ambitious on a scale of 1 to 10. We just finished the New Foundations class, and we're going into building a healing consciousness, where we'll look a lot at mental equivalence of what the mind focuses on and how that shows up in life. It'll be a lot of fun. But I'll continue this next year to write my monthly column in Creative Thought magazine, which is questions and answers. And then every other week, I write a short column for the Voices of Faith and the Record Searchlight. And the Shoes for Souls. Continue with that program. It's just a great program. I'm very excited about that. So last Wednesday, we had another co-creation meeting, and Phoebe Fazio led that meeting, and she just did a fabulous job. It was all about completions versus finishing. This completion process is to look at the past, find out what you liked and didn't like, and then decide if you can give up hanging on to what you didn't like. Like, how long are you going to drag that around? So we went through a process to come to completion with what we didn't like about the past, and also what we did like about the past. And then, after we had it all written down, and everybody talked as much as they had to talk, do you have any more to say about that? Are you carrying any more burden about that? No, I think I can be complete with the past. We unveiled this altar we had made, and it had a big tablecloth on it, and we unveiled a shredder. And everybody got to come up and shred what they were complete with. And the buzzing was just great. The smiles were great. And it felt good to see all those little pieces entering the shredder from our big problems that we thought we had and disappointments that we thought we had. So it was good. So we're done rehashing the past. And if you would like to do that process, come and see me. We'll make sure that you get the information and you can do it yourself. Because there were 47 people here, and we have more than that here this morning. So feel free to come in and get that. We encourage you to be complete as can be. And sometimes that means rehashing it with someone who can help you see the soul's journey in all of this, the soul's journey. So then we asked each person to think of one word. This is the most difficult. Think of one word that represents this center, because the corporate headquarters asked us to do that in our profile that we're going to be sending out to potential ministerial candidates. One word, wow. And I thought, oh, it'll probably be love, and I just didn't, I underestimated everyone, because there were 47 of us and there were only 4 duplicates. 4 duplicate words. Can you imagine? I was in awe. And I was it just welled up so much excitement in me. I wanted to share some of these. Truth, spirit, integrity, acceptance, blossoming, inspiring, guided, thriving, exuberance, trust, expansiveness, enthusiasm, oneness, enlightenment, growth, and evolving. Aren't those great words? That's who we are. And so Monday night at the board meeting, the board gets to try to pick the word. And that's going to be a hard time. And so I never have a vote because I'm the president, so I'm going to watch the squirming that goes on with that one. That'll be really fun. But when we left that night, we felt awake. We felt excited. People were smiling. They said, that was really good. And I think we felt refreshed. Okay, now here's a place where we could move forward. And so the third word of this trilogy is dedication, setting aside something for a particular purpose. And what I set aside most of my time for is spiritual practices, spiritual reading, spiritual writing. Although I do keep up with the world by reading news magazines, I am always reading spiritual books, because talking a lot, teaching classes a lot, being here a lot, there really isn't much time for anything else, because I know myself. When I go on vacation and don't come here for a couple Sundays, by the time I come back, I go, do I really need to go on Sunday? Maybe I just need to relax more. Maybe I don't need to hear that lesson. And that means I should get my butt in a chair. And I hope you've noticed that too in yourself. That once we start to drift, all the other things in life kind of take a more important level in our mind. They take up more of our time. And all of a sudden, spiritual practices are, yeah, I'll get to that tomorrow. But the soul is urging you, calling you, pulling you at times. Because I know in my experience, if I avoid soul work, I get a little feather that says, Mary, hey, I'm still here. And then I get a pebble. And you know what comes next? The rock. And then what's next? The 2x4. Whap! And I go, oh yeah. Sorry about that. That is what happens. And it's good that we're reminded, because the soul seems so far away, and yet it's all-encompassing. It's all-encompassing. So we belong to the world, but we're not an individual in this world. And so I wanted to share, I know Reverend Sharon shared a little bit a couple weeks ago, but I fell in love with this book I just read called The Proof of Heaven by Dr. Evan Alexander, who is a neurosurgeon for 25 years and at the best hospitals in the country. Very healthy man, very wonderful family. Everything is going great in life, and one day he wakes up and he is in the most pain he's ever felt, ever. And within a few hours, he's in the hospital with meningitis, but it's not just meningitis, it's E. coli meningitis. E. coli meningitis surrounding his brain that within hours shuts his brain down to nothing. It isn't firing at all. And he goes into this coma for 7 days. And while he was going through this process, they were trying to figure it out. How could this happen? The guy was healthy yesterday. They took fluid from his spinal cord, and all it was pus. I mean, how bizarre is that? But when he was in this coma, he traveled to 3 different levels, and I think the first one was most fascinating because he called it later the earthworm level. It was like he was in the dirt, and these worms were crawling past, and bugs, and it wasn't long before he started thinking, wouldn't it nice to be somewhere else? And yeah, like when, yeah, some people don't take too long to think about that. And all of a sudden he was in another dimension on a butterfly wing flying through the universe with a girl, later to be identified as a sister he never knew he had. But this girl was on this butterfly wing with him, and they were flying through the universe. And she said, "You are loved and cherished, dear, forever. You have nothing to fear. There is nothing you can do wrong. We will show you many things here, but eventually you'll have to go back." And so every time he thought about, well, what's beyond this, then he went to a whole new, he called it level, where he witnessed other souls, other beings. And he said, we are being watched constantly. Every one of us is being watched over. We call them angels or guides, but he said it's really true. We are cared about and loved so much. We are watched. And I think that was really profound for me, because I tend to be a bit more business level, give it to me on a report, that kind of. And so to think of that was very nurturing for me. He said there's more universes than we can conceive. There are intelligent peoples in the universe many, many, many times, millions of times more intelligent than us, which I found interesting. But he said we were given free will on this plane, and this is where the soul comes to grow, to expand. There you are. It's what we've been teaching, isn't it? Because God longs for us to learn and expand more into our true divine nature. Because when you're just in a state of spirit, there is no growth. You come here to grow. So what I found interesting is, our brain that we have, we know our consciousness is not our brain. But what he says is our brain is the filter. It filters out the totality of the universe so that we can do our work here. That without our brain, we wouldn't be able to concentrate. We wouldn't be able to learn and grow. We would be so mesmerized by it all. So the brain is the filter that keeps us here present in life for a purpose greater than we've been experiencing. And if I leave you with nothing else today, recognize that. You're here to be more, do more, become more of the true soul being that you are. So Dr. Alexander learned that what we call death here is really a process where we go to another dimension, to a higher world. But what we learn here goes with us. And so the important thing for him is for him to go from those 3 levels he did. He had to release his attachment to where he was. And that's what we teach here too. Be careful what you're attached to, because it holds you back from growth. And in that dimension, he had to let go of attachments. I found that very fascinating. So he said our home here on earth is vitally important to the soul's journey. And so if you're here, you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. And God's longing for you to become more. So that's a good thing to think about for the new year. On the 7th day of his coma, he was just inert. His eyes flickered, and his family screamed. And they called the doctors, and his eyes opened, and everybody screamed again. And then he was thrashing around because he couldn't talk, so they pulled the thing out of his throat, and he said, "Thank you. Thank you. And know that all is well. All is well. Don't worry. All is well." I mean, to me, that's awesome. And he has since totally regained all the knowledge he needs to continue neurosurgery. He's regained everything. So you have to ask why. What a way shower. What a way shower. I encourage you to think deeply about that, because we've had teachers like that throughout history. And sometimes we just discount them. We think, maybe not. Got to cook dinner. That's about how sometimes we relate to the soul's journey. Now, dinner may fill us with great feelings of beauty, or maybe not, but sometimes we treat it about that important. So if we're truly here to expand and grow, we're really here for a purpose. I encourage you, if you feel stuck in any area, get going. Come and see a practitioner or minister, read something inspirational, aspirational, but feel your connection to the soul. Feel your existence in the chair, in this room, at home. Feel your existence in the car. Feel how important this existence is, because it's going to be your next dimension when you look back and go, wow, I wish or I did the best I could, or wow, what a ride. What a ride. So do it and don't worry, and know that all is well. And so it is. Thank you.
To love, serve.